Hi, President Biden here. Everybody's favorite pedophile grandpa. I'd just like to say please subscribe and like the Triple B. He knows his boxing better than I know my local kindergarten. My favorite boxer is Gerald McClellan because, like him, I soil my pants every day with a big dirt, a huge dirt, huge.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. You're a wrongin'. I'm surprised you're still alive. You and your clones. Anyway, so this is just a little look about an intriguing match. Tszyu, who's Keith, well, I think it's one-time Thurman. One time. Yeah. And this is one of those like young bucks against experienced veterans. In these kind of situations, it's usually timed well. The young buck will usually win, because, hopefully, their promoter has timed it well. They will get a guy on the slide who hasn't had much activity, but still has a good record, and it will look like a great scalp. So we get that feeling. This is one of them kind of fights. And Tszyu, whose nickname is allegedly the Soul Taker, is being groomed to be a star. He's obviously the son of Tszyu. And he looks just like him, man. I don't know how much they get on because Kostya went off with another woman. And I don't think the Tszyu brothers, Nikita as well as a pro. He's the blonde Tszyu with that chuff with that. So, and it's happening in Las Vegas, Nevada, which is interesting because, this is his big breakthrough fight, I guess. He's Keith Thurman, who has only one loss to Manny Pacquiao in 31 fights. Yes, he's been inactive. On the bill, we've also got Rolando Rolly Romero, mate, who I really like, who's an underdog, about 2-1 underdog, against Isaac Pitbull Cruz, which is an interesting fight. We've got Eddie Zalandi Lara versus Michael Zarafa, who's the Australian stripper guy. He's fought with Johnny Lost at high level. He beat a good prospect called Isaac Hardman, though. He's also knocked out Anthony Mundine in a round, although that was an ancient Mundine, so that's pretty funny. But he lost to Jeff Warren, Kell Brook, and a few early guys in it. Pete Quilin. I've sparred Pete Quilin in the Trinity Gym very briefly, 1 round. Arif Magomedov, he loses to top guys. Pete Quilin, Magomedov was unbeaten. Jeff Horner, he wasn't the best in the world, but he's still a world champion. And Zaraf also knocked him out in a previous fight. And Kell, Kell the fruity Kell Brook, who carries on sucking even after you bust a nut in the Ingle Gym. So Zarafa is pretty good. The last guy, Daniel Creati, I've never heard him, but he's unbeaten as well. He's taken a few unbeaten scalps. Isaac Hardman is a good scalp, right? But he can be expected to be a big underdog against Lara, who's a good fighter. And then you got Sebastian Fundora, the towering Inferno, who's a surprising 2-1 on a favourite against Serhii Bohachuk, who's only got one loss. And that loss, Bohachuk's one loss is to Brandon Adams. But he's got 23 wins and 23 KOs. He's a deadly puncher. And Fundora, he's that tall guy, that towering Inferno with the ugly sister. And he got KO'd in 7 in his last fight by Brian Mendoza in a fight. And I backed this fight. I told you get on it. It was something like 6 or 7-1 for Mendoza. I said get on it. He KO'd him. So it's another great tip by the Triple B. I hate to brag. But yeah, so this Bohachuk thing, I don't know why he's such a big underdog against Fundora, who clearly got the tall, skinny guy's disease, which is a weak chin. Anyway, we ain't here to talk about Sebastian Fundora or his ugly sister. We're here to talk about Tszyu, his Keith, one-time Thurman. So if you look at Thurman, now, he's had one of his top careers. I mean, he was never quite, the sort of superstar some people thought he might be. He's a weird-looking guy. I think he's chopped off his ponytail. I think he's mixed race. I don't know. And people say, does it matter what race is? Everything matters in life, you clown. And Keith, one-time Thurman, comes across quite well. He's had good wins against top guys. Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Jose Cito Lopez, and aging Luis Colazzo, Roberto Guerrero, Leonard Bundu, Julio Diaz. Yeah, top guys, but not legends there. There's no legends there. Is there, really? They're good fighters. They're not legends. Manuel Barrios, he's beaten as well in his last fight. That was almost a year ago. And Manny Pacquiao. Thurman went down and ran, won lots of split decision. I haven't watched that fight. I can't tell you if the decision's fair. I think most people thought it was fair. But so you got a great guy with a great record. 22 KOs in 31 fights. So he's got a good KO record. However, and this is where it gets interesting, and you see this happen again and again. When people move up, the KO-ness starts to go. The KO ability starts to go. Right? Put it this way. Thurman has not stopped anyone since 2015. He has not stopped a single fighter since Luis Colazzo, who he actually just retired. Yeah? He retired, I think he retired on his stool. And that was in 2015. So we're talking like almost 9 years ago. He hasn't stopped. Blood clot. He makes Sonny Edwards look like a killer, bruv. But that is very interesting. That's very interesting. Because Tszyu's a tough guy. He's been down, but he's tough and young. He's a young buck. And you'd think you'd a come forward guy who wants to destroy. You'd think that, you want a bit of firepower to keep Tszyu off. But Thurman's also got skills. Let's not forget. He's a 5'9.5" allegedly, right? Tszyu is 5'8.5". I mean, BoxRec is not great on height. They get stuff wrong. They still have Tyson Fury at 6'9" and David Greenblatt Diamante at 6'9" too. So what do you know about that? I don't know. Intuitively, I just think they're very similar height, but apparently Thurman's got 1 inch height advantage. Like I said, Thurman's been inactive. His last fight was a year ago against Mario Barrios, which he won quite clearly on points. And then he was inactive for almost 3 years between Pacquiao and Barrios. If you go back, so if you go back to his last stoppage win, which was Luis Colazzo in 2015, so that's almost 9 years ago. So that fight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's only had 6 fights in 9 years. That's heavily inactive. That's slightly shocking. On the one hand, people say, he's obviously going to be very rusty, and this is going to be to his detriment. On the other hand, well, he will be very well recovered. And most of those were distance fights, right? So you can expect him to be fit. But he's 35, right? He's not battle worn, shot worn, 31 fights. He's going bald, which always makes you wonder if someone's the aging process is not going well for him. But then Holyfield did pretty well. But hey, we all know Evander Holyfield went bald because of PEDs, a disgusting cheat. One of the worst, the foulest cheats, both outside the ring with PEDs and inside the ring by using his huge shiny dome and crashing it into people's faces. He had 3 weapons: the headbutt, and the left and the right. So, but Thurman, to me, still will be in reasonable shape. He's 35. He'll be over his best, right? So those are the things that Thurman's fighting: inactivity, seeming lack of punching power recently, right? Age. And you got Tszyu. Now, Tszyu is 24 wins with 17 big wins by way of a knockout and no losses. Brian Mendoza, he won a unanimous decision with. Brian Mendoza knocked over the towering inferno Sebastian Fendora. He can punch, but he's not that slick. I thought Tszyu won that pretty comfortably. Carlos Ocampo, who had 35-2 record, KO'd in 1 round. That was a brutal knockout by Tszyu. And that was when he was interim. He only just became the actual WBO super welterweight champion. Super welterweight, that's lame. It's light middleweight, light middleweight. But against Brian Mendoza. Before that, he was the interim, which he's had since 2023. He beat Tony Harrison, a decent enough fighter. Then he beat Carlos Ocampo, again a decent enough fighter. Brian Mendoza, again a decent enough fighter, but nothing special. But and every single one of Tim Tszyu's fights have been in Australia, so his homeland, his hometown, except Terrell Gausha, which was in the United States. That's his one and only fight outside of Australia. Terrell Gausha is a decent fighter, but again, he had a 22-win, 2-1 record, and he managed to put Tszyu down in round 1. Let's check it out. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get caught in the first round. I mean, that's obviously a knockdown, and it shook him up a bit. But, you know, his legs were there. He just got caught early. Your chin is weaker in the first round than any other round usually, you know, because you can get caught cold. So, but it's interesting. It was close, a close decision. You know what I'm saying? It was a close decision, but according to two of the judges, or certainly one of them had 114, 113. I think Tszyu won comfortably, but it's interesting. That's his first fight out. He got dropped. Apart from that, he's got Steve Spark. He knocked out in 3 rounds. Dennis Hogan, he knocked out in 5. These are good Aussie fighters. Takeshi Inoue. I know Inoue is a common Japanese surname, but I think he's one of the Inoue brothers or cousin or something. So he widely outpointed him. So, I mean, like, you know, he's been brought along well. He KO'd Jeff Horn in 8 rounds. And Jeff Horn ain't that good. You know, he managed to get a very under par Pacquiao and beat him. But good on Jeff Horn. But what is he, the school teacher? What a blood clot. I can't stand school teachers. They're people that can't get a real job. I mean, I respect Jeff Horn, obviously, because he's a fighter, who was at world class. But someone like Ebony Biatches was an allegedly primary school teacher. Now she's just a slag. So there you go. I don't like them teachers at all. So, I mean, Tszyu hasn't beaten anyone real top level. He's beaten borderline world-class fights. Brian Mendoza, Carlos Ocampo, Tony Harrison, Terrell Gausha, Takeshi Inoue. These are all borderline guys. They're none of them are top 10 guys. Yeah? Keith Thurman was, certainly. You know? He could have been top of the division at one point. But, you know, age is a big factor. Inactivity. The fact he seemed to have lost his punch. So, we look at the betting. We can get 6-1 amazingly on Thurman. I mean, that's a long shot. And a lot of people have started to say, Triple B, do you think it's worth some money? I mean, 6-1 is a decent price on Thurman, who's only had 1 loss, as I said, to the Pac-Man. And that was a majority decision. Tszyu hasn't fought anyone great. It's his first big fight outside of Australia. Yeah, he had Terrell Gausha and he didn't perform that well, but this is his first serious fight. You know, the spotlight's going to be on the man. I think he can take it. He's been around pressure all the time, his dad as well, and him. And, you know, there's been a lot of focus on him in Australia. But there's a massive, I don't know, it very much depends on his camp. Like, when does he move out? He's got to acclimatise. I mean, that's a massive difference, jet lag-wise, for Australia, right, to the United States, to Las Vegas. I hope he gets in early for his camp, you know, and I mean, like 3 weeks before. I mean, it takes like a week out of you, almost, jet lag. You're not right for a week, okay? So that's my suggestion. Sonny Edwards did this very similar for his fight against Bam Rodriguez. He went to the United States early, which was the right thing to do. Ultimately, it didn't make any difference because Bam put him over, face down, ass up. But, you know, Sonny's division was impaired early, so he decided to slug, which made it an exciting fight, but it ended up with him face down and ass up. So, yeah, I think okay, I'm going to give Thurman the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say he still wants it. Yeah, he hasn't given up on boxing, even though he's been inactive. He's still relatively fresh for a 35-year-old, even though he's had a lot of decision fights. You know, well, I mean, you know, since 2015, every 6th one of his fights has gone 12-round distance, right? So, I'm giving the benefit of that. He'll still be fit. He'll still be up for it. Is he over the hill? Slightly. The question is how much. I think he'll give Tszyu a fight. Tim, the Soul Taker Tszyu, right? I think it'll be a fight, but in these fights, when you got a young buck who they want to win because he's going to bring more future, more money in the future. Keith Thurman ain't going to bring shit. He was never really that hugely popular anyway. But he's obviously feigning and fade dead, so they want Tszyu to win. I will have Tszyu win on points. That is my prediction. I will have Tszyu win on points. He will have a few difficult moments, I believe, mainly because of Thurman's determination and his fitness. I think he will need more of a punch to beat Tim Tszyu. That's the thing. Thurman, like I said, hasn't stopped anyone for 9 years. I don't see him stopping Tim Tszyu. I mean, anything can happen. But Tim Tszyu, I think, will be too fresh, too lively. Yeah. I don't think he'll stop Thurman. Thurman has solid whiskers. Tim Tszyu can punch. He's had some beautiful knockouts. But, Mendoza, he smashed all over the shop. And Mendoza went the distance. So I have Thurman losing on points by a few rounds. But it been an interesting contest. What do you know about that?